another 5 minutes because the workshops will start at 6. So we have to wait for another 5 minutes for all the people to join. I am seeing a lot of new names also today. That's great. Good evening, Preeti ji, Manisha ji, Karuna ji, Jyoti ji, Jayasri ji, Vishali ji, Deepa ji. Very good evening to all of you. Good evening, everybody. Tina ji, Justine ji, Gayatri ji, Preeta ji, Yogesh ji, Roshni ji, Padmasini ji, Soumya ji. Very good evening to everybody. Okay, so it's 6 o'clock. I think we should start our workshop now. I wish all of you a very, very good evening. Each and everybody who is present here. Thank you for joining. So today's workshop, as you know, is on art integrated learning. So so those who are familiar with these workshops, we always conduct some kind of quiz or some kind of activity at the end of the workshop. So in order to get the certificate for the workshop, you have to either participate in the activity that we conduct or the quiz that we conduct. So today we'll be giving out a short quiz, just 10 questions, very short and very easy quiz at the end of the workshop. And you need to participate in that quiz and you need to score at least 50% in order to get the certificate. So that is the criteria which is set for today's workshop. Hariomji, you want to say something? You raised the hand. You can write it in the chat box, anything if you want to say. All right. So let's proceed further to the actual content of the workshop. Now, I want to ask from you first, what is art integrated learning according to you? You can write it in the chat box. What, according to you, is meant by art integrated learning? What is your perception on what actually is art integrated learning? What do you mean by art integrated learning? How do you do art integrated? Any thought from your side using art to explain certain topics, integration of art in different subjects, experimental learning, learning through art, learning helped with art, learning takes place based on art and it is learned with the help of art, experimental learning, learning through art and activities, learning through art, learning through activities, correlated subjects, similar concepts, teach through art, learning through creativity. Yes, nice answer. Relationship with other subjects, collaboration of all subjects in relation with art. Fun way of learning, yes. Learning with fun, learning through art activities. Okay. So more or less all the answers are on the similar pattern. Two observations. One is learning via art, learning slash teaching via art, and another is integrating different subjects, kind of like interdisciplinary learning, and that is done using arts. So these are the two broad answers which I have received in the chat box from your sides, which both of them are absolutely correct. And there are still lots of answers coming up in the chat box. Majorly, they are all inclined towards those two broad areas itself. One is learning or teaching via art, and another one is when you collaborate more than one subject and you teach it in a fun manner using some art-based concept. So let's see the definition of kind of definition or for the art integrated learning. So art integrated learning is an educational approach that combines the teaching of core subjects like maths, science, history, social studies, language arts, any language, with the creative and expressive elements of the arts such as music, theater, visual art, dance, and storytelling. So it combines all of the broad ideas that you have given, like it is learning slash teaching via the utilization of arts concepts and teaching of core subjects individually or combined using these art concepts. Right? And the art concepts are not just limited to some making some kind of painting. It can be on of any aspect of art can be taken, whether it is music, whether it is theater, whether it is visual art, whether it is dance, whether it is storytelling. So even the expression of a story via dance, that is bringing out the creativity in the students, and that is also considered as art integrated learning. So the goal of art integrated learning is to promote interdisciplinary learning. The main purpose is to promote disciplinary learning and enhance the students' critical thinking, creativity, and problem-solving skills. So because I think somebody is using the annotation, let me just stop it. So to promote the interdisciplinary learning and enhance the students' critical thinking, creativity, and problem-solving skills. So rather than just explaining the concept, even in a very simplistic manner, even if we explain the concept in a very simplistic manner, these activities which are art related, or which is this art integrated learning which is focusing on, so that actually is not just to make the concept fun, or not just to make the students engaged in the class. The purpose is to also boost up their creativity. The purpose is also to boost up their critical thinking and problem solving skills. So for example, if we take a simple topic of debate, right, or debate, or as I said, dance, right, dance or music. So if we take like this simple topic, this simple activity like debate or dance, how is it promoting the critical thinking of the student? They are actually going around all the aspects of that particular topic or that particular story and coming up with new approach, coming up using their creativity to come up with new kind of approach to represent the solution in a very different manner which nobody has thought of till now. For example, I'm talking about of dance. So if you represent a story via dance, so everybody cannot do that. You have to think very critically to analyze the story, how you can collaborate dance with while describing that particular story. It is not everybody's cup of tea. So the thinking of the student is getting boosted. The creativity of the student is getting boosted with that. So that is the main purpose of art integrated learning, to boost these critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving skills of the students. Then by incorporating art-based activities and projects into the academic lessons, students are encouraged to think outside the box, explore different perspectives, and develop a deeper understanding of the material, which is kind of like the similar example which I just gave to you, which is like if we ask the student, or if we ask the student to come up with a dance performance which explains the story, so how deeper they have to go, how much out of the box thinking they have to create, and just to develop that out of the box thinking, they need to have in the background, they need to have that kind of creativity, they need to have that kind of critical thinking. So once they would not will be able to come up with that beautiful concept. But as we say that practice makes the man perfect. So with every upcoming activity, they are pushing themselves to perform better. So they are just pushing the boundaries of themselves, basically. They are pushing their own boundaries, right? For every single activity, they are pushing their own boundaries. They are developing more and more deeper understanding of the material. They're thinking outside of the box. They're boosting the creativity. They are developing critical thinking skills. So it's like kind of a holistic experience for the student. So there are two types of art forms which I used. One is visual arts and one is performing arts. So as the name also suggests, one is performing arts, where you perform any activity where you are performing. And performing is like theater, dance, music, playing instrument, storytelling, puppetry, puppet shows, drama, which comes under theater only. So these are the performing arts where you are asking student to perform, where somebody is performing. Whereas visual art is where the student is incorporating their creative skills by coming up with a materialistic thing which people can see. So, for example, like drawing, painting, murals, collage, craft, sculpture. So, these are the two main art forms which are there in the art-based, art-integrated learning. Right? Now, I want to ask you, what is the difference between art education and art integration? We have seen what art integration, art integrated learning means, like, but how is it different from art education? So you can write your answers in the chat box. What is your perception on this? How is art education and art integration different? Okay, there are some answers coming. Art education is teaching them art and craft. Art education is something that can be learned from art. Murals, yes, I will come to murals also later in this workshop. Connecting with chapters taught in the class. Integration is incorporating with subject for better understanding. Collaboration with the respective subjects. Art education is just drawing, but not correlating learning with the help of subjects. Yes, exactly. So I think I got the perfect answer for which is the difference. Yes, perfect. So in art education also, the students are learning about new things. They are able to boost up their creativity. But how is it different from art integration? As somebody just mentioned, it was a very good difference. um, Art education is just drawing, not just drawing, and I would say it's more like it's like drawing, paintings, crafting also. So it's not just drawing, it is also boosting the creative things, creativity in the students. But it is not integrating, art education is not integrating with the other core concepts of the which the student is studying. That is like the major difference between it. So art education refers to the formal course of study in which students learn about not able to connect with voice. Pujam, you need to in that where that the first icon in the Zoom, you need to either dial in or via speaker, you need to select that. So voice will start coming. So art education involves teaching the students the principles of art, such as color theory, composition, and technique, as well as the history of art and the role of art in society. So it includes all the art forms. It includes teaching the students the history as well as every other single aspect about art. But just that it is not, it is kind of like an independent thing. It is not relating with the other core concepts. That is like an independent thing where the student is learning. So for example, it's just like you study maths, you study science, you study SST, you study English or any other language. So it's just that if we keep every single thing as different, every single subject has its own importance, has its own curriculum to cover. But when we combine two things, so that is kind of an integration. So similarly here you have art education, which is like a single subject, and integration, you connect the art subject or you connect the art forms with the other subjects, right? Similarly, in art integration, on the other hand, it involves incorporating the art into other subject areas such as maths, science, or social studies, or English also, or any other subject for a matter of fact. The goal of art integration is to enhance the learning and understanding in these subjects by using art as a tool for visualizing and expressing concepts. Right? So as I just mentioned, you need to integrate art with other subjects in order to enhance the learning experience. So that is what art integration is. For example, students might create art projects that illustrate scientific concepts like photosynthesis or the water cycle. So that is art integration, where you are combining art with some concept that you studied in science. Right? Now, how does art integrated learning makes the learning process holistic and help achieve the desired learning outcome? So I think we discussed this a lot of times now. I have explained this a lot of time. Now, one more thing in this is that art integrated learning works on all the three domains, which is cognitive, psychomotor, and affective simultaneously, which fulfills the pedagogical need of the competency-based education. Now, I want to know from you, what do you think is meant by all these domains? Cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. What is meant by these three domains? Cognitive domain, let's leave it, because cognitive domain, we all know cognitive means where some analytical thinking or critical thinking is involved. Let's leave the cognitive domain. Let's talk about what is psychomotor domain and what is affective domain. And if you can just not explain what psychomotor or affective is, you can just give me one example of psychomotor and one example of affective. Psychomotor is coordination. Yes. Doing the hand-eye coordination. Yes. Any example for that? Hands-on activity. Yes, hands-on activity, but which kinds of activities? Making a working model, drawing a map, drawing a map. Okay. Okay. Physical activities, yes. Mental activity is more into cognitive domain. Role play, yes, I think it's kind of overlapping between psychomotor and affective. Movements with mentally aware, involving figures of the hand more in action. Affective domain means values, motivation, or attitude. Yes. Yes, affective domain means values, motivation, and attitude. Related are hand activity, motion, yes, clay molding, motor skills, yes. Now you all are going towards the completely correct direction. So psychomotor domain is basically cognitive domain. We all know it's more about thinking, developing critical thinking, problem solving skills. Psychomotor domain is where you are applying some kind of activity, but that activity involves using your hands, legs, eyes. So developing a hand-eye coordination, that is like a psychomotor, that will be in the psychomotor domain, where you are developing some kind of hand and eye coordination. Like if you are playing some guitar or playing any instrument, so you are developing the hand-eye coordination, right? We are playing piano, playing harmonium, playing guitar, dance, physical activity. If you are doing, if you are operating any machine, if you are typing normal, it's just typing, that is also kind of developing a good hand-eye coordination. So you can see that there are some people who type very, very slowly. There are some people whose typing speed is okay. There are some people whose typing speed is very fast. So they have trained themselves to develop their hand-eye coordination, to increase their hand-eye coordination, right? So that is kind of like a psychomotor domain that comes, those kind of skills come under psychomotor domain. And affective, as somebody just said, means values, motivation, and attitude. So affective domain means where you can just, those kinds of activities where you are developing that, not just you're not just simply doing the activity, you are developing some kind of values, you're developing some kind of thinking, some kind of appreciation, for example, some kind of motivation. So if I give you an example, for example, in a debate, right? So in a debate, there are some students who are very aggressive, or role plays, who are very aggressive. They do not let other people speak. So those are lagging in the development of affective domain, because they are not understanding the importance of letting the other person also speak. So you have to develop that kind of skill as well, where you appreciate the other person, you are giving the other person the chance to speak, you're giving the other person to convey their points. So that kind of thing comes in under affective domain. You are developing your public speaking skills, you are knowing whether to, when to speak, when not to speak, you are understanding what tone you should use to speak. So those kind of skills all can come under these affective domains, right? So if we talk about art integrated education, or art integrated learning, it kinds of develops on, or it kinds of works on all the three domains. So if we talk about like debate, we talked about dance. So dance is more boosting your cognitive domain also, psychomotor domain also, and affective domain also. So AIL kinds of works on all the three domains, and which is basically fulfilling the pedagogical need of the competency-based education. Right? Now, this involves thinking, imagining, exploring, making, experiencing, expressing, verifying, and applying the knowledge. Hence, makes the entire process holistic and experiential in nature. So, NEP talks about it a lot of times, that you have to make the learning experience holistic, you have to make the learning experiential. So what does it actually mean by this? The basis of that kind of statement, which is like the holistic or experiential learning, the basis of that is this art integrated learning. All right. Sakeji says there is no sound. Sir, you need to, I think you're not dialed in on the audio. So you need to switch on your audio from the Zoom call. So that stops the leftmost icon. You need to select, there will be two options. So you need to select one, and then you will be able to hear the sound. I am so sorry, he is not able to hear me and I'm explaining it to him. If anybody can just write to him in the chat box, that would be of great help. Now, moving on further. Now, we have seen what art-based learning is, or art integrated learning is. Now, how do you assess art integrated learning? It's not like a normal subject, whether this is correct, whether this is wrong, this answer is correct, this answer is wrong. It is not that simple, right? Now, how does assessment happens in AIL? So, I'm so sorry. The assessment is an ongoing cyclic process that begins with a clear identification of the learning outcome and can occur at various points within the teaching learning process. So it's not just giving out the exams and marking whether the answers are correct or not. So it's a cyclic process. So you need to discuss upon, or you need to come up upon what actually achieve, what actually you want to achieve through that particular activity. You need to align with the students in order for them to come up with the clear learning outcomes, what exactly they want to do with that. So it's not just one single step. It's like a cycle, come back and forth kind of thing. When you feel that both of you are aligned on that this particular activity, we need to achieve this particular thing, right? So it happens at various points. And since what is expressed or what the output is, that output is non what word should I use for that, not tangible, it's non-accessible, I would say. I'm not able to come up with that exact word. Basically, I want to say is that it's not like normal correct answer or incorrect answer. It's like you cannot say that what you have done is not correct. So the assessment can be in form of both verbal and non-verbal expressions of the students. Some kinds of activities, it might be the case where the student is not able to perform verbally, but he is able to perform non-verbally. Like example, if you want to write a skit, there might be a student who would be able to come up with a very good script for that skit, but would not be very good in that verbal expression of that skit, right? So that is kind of one thing where it is kind of a mismatch between not a mismatch, not exactly a mismatch, it is difficult to assess. So that is why the assessment techniques in art integrated learning, it should be non-judgmental, non-comparative, non-competitive, and non-threatening. So if you like, suppose you ask the students to create the models, different models, there might be that some person has done it beautifully, like out of the box, some out of the box thinking he has performed, and he has presented with the model, and there is some person who has done very correctly, is everything is working perfectly, everything is correct, just that it you are not able to connect with that model that much that you were able to connect with the earlier one. So that judgment should not be the part in the assessment of the students, right? That means it should be non-judgmental, it should be unbiased. Basically, it should be non-judgmental, non-comparative. Is he has done it in this way, so you should also have done it in that way. So that should not come in the assessment of these kind of activities, because everybody has their own thinking of doing, everybody has their own level of creativity of doing. So these kinds of things should not be a barrier in the assessment of these art integrated learning paths. Right. Now let's come to tools and techniques of AIL based assessments. There are some comments in the chat box. Receive certificate, yes. Okay, within 20, okay, it has already been replied. Thank you so much. So tools and techniques which are based for AIL based assessment, what all things can be done for this AIL based assessments. Some can be like, you can do the art integrated activities like drawing, painting, singing, role playing. Project works can be done in the groups. Stories, poetry, letters, posters, story illustrations based on any kind of theme. So all these ideas, all these tools, they can be applied to any subject or any kind of mixture of topics of two subjects as well, right? Periodic based displays or exhibits in classroom and corridors by the student. So that also is a technique to use the AIL based assessments. Descriptive and anecdotal recordings reporting the overall progress of children's cognitive, socio-emotional, and creative development. So not just marking it right or wrong, a descriptive and anecdotal recording can be used for the assessment, which reports the overall progress for the children's cognitive, socio-emotional, and creative development. So those kind of, since it is a cyclic process, it is not just done, marked, done. It is a kind of a cyclic process. So you need to have the continuous assessment needs to be going on in this kind of scenario. Right. Now, interdisciplinary approach in AIL. So while designing the activities, the possibility to connect the concepts across different subjects should be addressed. So in interlinking the subject and activities, the learning outcomes can also be clubbed. So for example, if you can club the English and SST, English and social studies, you can club those two things and come up with the activity which is boosting the kind of like speaking skills of the students, which is helping their English communication or English language. And they are using the concepts of the social studies subject, where they are kind of, if you have a role play, or if you have a debate, or if you have mock elections. So they are using the concepts of both English and social studies to come up with the role play, or to come up with the debate activity, or debate session, right? So maths and science, you can club science in English, or science and social studies. So for example, geography or chemistry, you can mix and come up with new activities, because in geography you talk about the kind of soils, kind of metals, or the substances found under earth. So you can interlink geography and chemistry, you can interlink physics and maths. So there are a lot of activities which you can come up with by interlinking two or more subjects, and that actually helps the students in understanding also, and in better retention of the concept of both the subjects. I hope I'm clear till now. Shall I move further? There's a thumbs up, thumbs down, anything in the chat box? Any kind of doubt, or anything you want to communicate, or any point you want to put across? Great. Great. So meanwhile, you can also, yes, murals I will cover. Murals I am covering. Meanwhile, you can also write up in the chat box if you have used any art integrated learning amongst multiple subjects, or amongst two subjects, and what was the activity, and how was the experience, how was your experience while doing that activity. So you can just write down in the chat box. Anecdotal records are basically you are mentioning, anecdotes are story about past. So you can, those are just records which you are mentioning throughout the academic year. So those kind of becomes the anecdotal records for you. You are records of the students you are doing. On Uttarakhand, we have done Uttarakhand. So can you please explain also a little bit, so that everybody can get some ideas and get some insights on how was it, what was the activity done. So not just the name of the activity, you can just mention in detail in the chat box, so that it is beneficial for all the participants here. So you can write the things in the chat box. I'll just move further to the next slide. So now I will be sharing some kinds of activities particular to subjects, right? So what all you can do in these subjects, what all kind of activities you can do for any subject. So we'll be covering 4 major subjects: English, math, social science, and science. But if for English, whatever is done in English, they can all be done in any other language, whether it is Hindi, Kannada, Punjabi, anything you can want, any language you can translate those activities to. And some kind of activities you can also use in for another subject as well. So for English, you can have poetry through songs, role playing, story through drawing, puppets, clay modeling, spin a yarn, storytelling through origami, scrapbook, and there can be a lot of other activities also, like drama you can do. You can debates also can come in English. Music, if we talk about music, you can integrate music also with English, come up with a song, like this poetry through songs. So that also you can come up with. Dance also, you can perform a dance on that particular chapter or the story of that particular chapter. So actually creating some songs which are like, what do you call them? Some songs which is basically used to remember the things better. So you can ask the students to come up with some short forms. You can ask the students to come up with some kind of mnemonics or songs, so that they are able to retain that concept better. So I've also attached some few images also for that. So here some students are creating some comic strips for the particular chapter, for any literature, any chapter in the literature book. They are creating the comic strips from that chapter. So they are enhancing their visualization skill of that chapter. So they are trying to visualize how it might have happened, and they are creating the comic strips for that chapter. Right. This is also the screenshot for the comic strips. Then theater, as we say, theater you can do in English. Theater you can do in English also. You can do in social studies also. Then in science, you can use concept through story. So the students can be asked to come up with a story which explains the concept in a better manner, rather than just remembering what is written in the book. Role play. So you can ask the students to come up with role play of between, for example, protons and electrons, or nucleus and protons. I mean, on any particular concept, you can create some hypothetical characters from two concepts, like light, ray, and mirror. One is concave mirror, one is convex mirror, one is straight mirror. You have a light ray. So you can describe that whole scenario via a role play in that. Drawing and coloring, craft work, any kind of craft work you can come up with, clay modeling, dance, example, rotation and revolution. So a lot of activities can be made by clubbing through from English also. It's not very segregated activities that this can be done in this particular subject only. It can be done in anything. But these are just different ideas. So this is one idea where there is reduce, reuse, and recycle. So they are coming up with creative ideas to how to recycle the existing material which they have in homes. So they have recycled the bottles into flower vases, and socks into these soft toys. Then you have this clay modeling. They are describing the garden. They are making the garden using the clay models. So it just makes them more, what do you call that word? Engaged in learning also, but simultaneously they also increase their creativity. They also enhance their creative skills and creative out of the box thinking skills, because they have to, while coming up with a model, clay model, you have, there can be infinite ways where you can come up with a clay model of any particular thing. Some would be coming up with an extraordinary idea, some would be uh, doing the normal things which we just normal think about. So but those students who are coming up with those extraordinary ideas, so they are able to push their thinking and they are able to develop those out of box thinking, right? So it's not just fun, it's actually the science behind this is that they are actually developing their creativity and creative thinking skills. Then in maths, pattern drawing, rangometry, Varli art, mandala art, tessellations, uh, fractals, spidrons, math art. So murals I was talking about, right? I had written murals. Murals are these kind of these Varli arts or mandala arts. I'll show these what kind of arts these are. So rangometry is like making a rangoli using the geometrical shapes. So that is what is rangometry is. So these students are creating those rangometry items or figures. Then you have these pattern drawings. So all these pattern drawings are using some kind of mathematical shape. So how to use those shapes, how to come up with a new shape using those only triangles. So that is kind of creative thinking as well. Can you please show the slide of AIL science? Okay. This one. You can just take the screenshots of your subjects, or you can take the screenshots of all these subjects, because these can be used in any of these. So I'll just show this maths one first, and then I will again go back to all these subjects, and then you can take, all of you can take a screenshot of all these subjects. All right. So this is rangometry, this is pattern drawing, this is Varli art. These are like kind of mural paintings. This Varli art, which is made using these stick figures. Stick figures are made using the shapes or using the lines, triangles, squares. This is mandala art. Mandala art is also used means small shapes. You just combine and make a beautiful final art. Then in social studies, you have mock elections, you can have poster making, you can have role playing. So you can have mock elections where the whole democracy, or how the things are done in a democracy, everything is understood by the students. Mock parliament, mock elections. Can we get this PPT? Okay, sir, I'll share the certificates with you on email. So if you can just reply back to me, then I will share you the PPT. Mock elections, poster making. So these students are making the posters on water scarcity, right? So there are a lot of activities which can be done by the students in any subject, or as I told you, I gave some examples on interlinked subject activities as well. So you can take the screenshots for this. If you want, you can just take the screenshot for this. I'll move further. This is for social studies, right? Then this is for maths. You can just Google these tessellation, fractals, and spidrons. So these are all kind of art or images which are created using the mathematical shapes only. right? So you can just Google these terms and you can see how the shape looks like for these. So you can take a screenshot for maths. Then this is science. You can take the screenshot for this. And going back to English, you can take a screenshot for this. Right? Maths once again. Okay. This is maths. Right? So with this, we come up different slide for maths. What do you mean by different slide for maths, sir? You want these maths once again? Okay. I'll do one thing. I think all of you have joined that teachers corner group. If there is somebody who has not joined that group, you can please let me know in the chat box. I'll share the link with you. I will share all these activities. I'll take a screenshot of all these activities and I will share it on that group. Okay. I think that would be easier for everybody. No, not in group. Kindly share the link. Just give me 1 second. I'll share the link with you. So I have shared the link for that group as well on the chat box. So all of you who are not yet there on this group, you can just join this group and I will share all these activity list of all these activities there. And I will also try to share this. I forgot the name of those maths, arts, spydrons, etc. So I will share that as well, right? Now with that, we have come to the end of this workshop. I'll now share with you the quiz link as promised. So you need to do the quiz in order to get the certificate. So I have shared the quiz link with all of you on the chat box. So you can quickly do the quiz and then you will get the certificate within 24 hours. I hope all of you are attempting the quiz that I have shared it in the chat box. You will be getting the certificate only after attempting the quiz. Send the link again. Okay, I will send. I have shared the link again, Sarita ma'am. I have shared the link again in the chat box. Those who are done, they can leave this session. Thank you everybody for joining. Thanks a lot. I hope you like this workshop and you will join the further ones also. So Krishna ji, this is the quiz link of the quiz. Thank you everybody. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great, Jyoti ma'am. That's great, Jai Kishan ji. I hope you liked this and you will join the further workshops also. Yes, the certificates you will receive on your email. Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot. How do I know which answers are wrong? Sadly, this tally tool which I shared the quiz on, it does not reveal the right answers. But Vishakha, no, I will write your name and I will share the answers with you. Thank you, everybody. On the group, I think it would be difficult because there are a lot of participants in that group. What I will do is, Sanchita ma'am, I will share the answers on the with the email. In that certificate email, I will add all the answers. So I think that would be better for everybody. Above, how will we get the certificate? You will receive the certificate, Sharmila ji, on your email ID within 24 hours. So before tomorrow's evening, you will receive the certificate. Thank you, everybody, for your kind words. Attendance link, I have shared the quiz link. That is the only attendance link. WhatsApp group link also I shared. Good night, everybody. Good evening. Good night. Yes, I will share it once again, the WhatsApp group link. I have shared the link for the WhatsApp group. Attendance list, there is no attendance list or attendance link. You have the quiz link, which you need to do, which you need to attempt, and you will get the certificate within 24 hours. So I'll share the quiz link again. This is the quiz link. You just need to attempt the quiz and then you will get the certificate within 24 hours. For principals group, okay, I will share the link for principals group as well.